Okay guys, so in this video we are going to talk a little bit about what we call the grooming process. So let's get into it. So basically we can see here that we've now moved some stuff from our backlog to ready, and that entails one thing, and that is that we have now had a sit down with our stakeholders and the people who are going to be responsible for to deliver this project basically, or this epic. And we've had a little bit of a talk, and that is what we call the grooming session, or the, like, call it whatever you want, but it's basically just a meeting a preparation meeting before you actually start the sprint or start work on the actual feature. So let's look at this epic here. So the description is, in order to give our users a fun experience, we want to make a game where the user wins if the users click a button and the number is 8. Okay, so if I saw this type of description as a developer, I would immediately start to have, I would have a few questions. And that's kind of the idea of the so-called grooming session. It is just because the thing is, it doesn't matter how perfect you write the specification, because you will always forget something, and there will always be ambiguities, there will always be miscommunication. So having a preparation meeting where everybody actually can have a sit down and talk about what's actually going to be delivered is very much part of this process. So I wrote down a few, like the first questions that I had when I read this specification, because it's not uncommon, guys. I will tell you right now, it is not. It's actually very common that you will have these very loose definitions of what you're actually supposed to be doing. And take it from somebody who has done this a few times. Clarity is key. It is vital that everybody has the same idea of what's going to happen, because if you are loose in what's going to be delivered and how it's going to work, it's going to come back and bite you in the ass later. So first question is, okay, is this going to be a web application? So we had a discussion, and I had a discussion here with myself, and since I'm the only stakeholder, yes, I decided that yes, this is going to be a web application. We should have probably specified that somewhere here, but nobody said so. But that's why we have these meetings, right? Is the user going to have an account? Well, no, the stakeholders told us that no, it's not. It's just going to be a web page where anybody can just go to that web page and they can just interact with it. There's no user account in this first draft. Can the user click the generate button any number of times? Yeah, and that's basically it. So you can just hit that button over and over and over, and if it turns out that hey, that number is 8 for whatever reason, then you're gonna win. What should the button say? Like, that's not specified. Is there going to be a description text, like what the purpose of this is? And they said, well, no, not really. It's just going to be a button, and there's going to be a number above that button. Do we have designs for the UI? Well, no, we didn't have that either, so we're going very light here. So ideally, we really want designs if it is possible to have designs, because that's the hardest part sometimes, I would say, about being a front-end developer, if that's the thing that you want to call yourself. It is especially when you don't have designs, because everybody has their own mental picture of how something should look, and there's a lot of hassle. So getting designs is good, but this time we didn't have any, so we're just going to have to make do. What happens when the number is 8? I think that's a very good question. All right, so like the specification said, hey, they win. What do they win? What happens if the number is 8? And our stakeholders explain that, oh yeah, there's just going to be a text somewhere that says that, hey, you won, and then that's it. And then you can keep on clicking as much as you want. So that's about it, really. Okay, cool. That's the requirements. What range of numbers do we pick from? 1 to 8, 1 to 100? Because, if it's any random number, then it's any random number. And our specification stated that, well, they forgot to say that, but it's going to be just between 0 and 9, as an example. And that's about it. So now that we had this discussion and we kind of have understanding, we're not so happy because it's still a little bit unspecified, it's still a bit loose, but hey, we need to ship stuff, and this is the job, guys, trying to just figure out how to solve something when you don't have all the information sometimes. So we decided that, all right, these are the 3 natural stories that we can derive from this epic, because we are most likely several people, and we can't have you know, just one epic is too big of a task. We broke it down into smaller stories. So we're going to have a story for creating the landing page. We're going to have a story for creating the random number algorithm. And then we're going to have a story for adding that together and actually wiring everything up so that when the number is 8, the text that you want is going to be shown. And that's about it. So now we are officially ready to start working on this epic or this feature. So now that this is said and done, we are ideally in a situation where we shouldn't have any more interruptions or any more specifications, but in reality you're always going to have, things are going to change. Just keep that with you. But now we can actually start working, so we're going to start looking at working on these stories in the next video.